Hello and welcome to Top Contractor Schools Podcast, where we're dedicated to helping you achieve extraordinary growth and success by supplying you with the tools, resources, and support necessary to not only build profitable businesses, but to create a lasting impact on your families, companies, and communities. I'm Eric Guy, the host of TCS Podcast. Joining me today, back for round two, are the Abbruzzese brothers, Nick and Anthony. Thanks for coming back so soon. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Always appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah. So we're going to continue. The reason that I asked you guys to come back was just so soon, actually. I know you guys are going to come back often and be our guests, but something came up recently where you actually had a story about this. So today we're actually going to be talking about branding and marketing, which has been our subject at the TCS for the month of March, and it was nice that you guys had like a story to share with the group. I believe that was last week you shared that, or maybe the week prior, of just somebody reaching out to you because of your branding and your marketing. And, I guess let's just start off why you all believe that branding and marketing are critical, especially for what you all are doing and trying to accomplish nowadays.
Well, I would say that for us, we saw that having video marketing and having us have a presence on social media, especially, was very important to what we saw as the growth of our company. We needed to have that presence in order to, as Nick is always mentioning, we build the like and trust factor with our clients before we even meet them. And the stories, that one story that you're referencing was a recent one, but there's been a bunch more that have been in the past, that since we've started this real push for social media marketing, and it's something that we never ever regret starting.
Yeah. Now, your dad started the company, so was he the one that was big into social media, his Instagram page, all that?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely a hard no.
What did it look like for him, and walk us through that story? And we're laughing a little bit, but if it wasn't for my daughter, I wouldn't know what those things were. I went to an event with her 11, 12 years ago, and my eyes were open because I've always thought it was stupid, and it was more, for me, it was about word of mouth, referral. I know that's old school, but how has that transition been for you guys, and kind of what did you start it off with at first, and do you remember the progression?
I don't really remember the progression. But at first, there was a lot of, I don't want to say hostility, but a lot of, what are you doing on your phone? Stop taking pictures, grab this, do this. Why, I don't want to see you on your phone again. That whole old school dad not tolerating his kids being on the phone. Meanwhile, we were taking pictures and videos to be able to show before and afters and things like that for social media. And after a while, it took I don't know how long it took exactly, but it took a good year or so for us to get past that. And when he would see us on our phone, he knew, we weren't just texting our friends or girlfriends or wives or whatever. It was for social media. And now he loves it. Now he I wouldn't say he fully encourages us to take pictures yet, but there's no questions asked now when we take pictures actually now we've elevated it to, now we have a full-time videographer. And so it started with us taking pictures on the job site with our phones. Got a lot of weird looks from him and some pushback. Then it elevated to getting a videographer, which he was hard pressed against having that additional overhead per se.
Yeah.
And then, when he was on the job site, our videographer Nate, when he was on the job site, not helping with delivery or helping with something, my dad was naturally wired to short circuit at something like that, but we had to explain he's here for a different role. If he helps out, he helps out. That's totally great, and that's who he is. He does jump in from time to time, but he's here to document and take videos and pictures of our job sites for social media. So now he even asked, "Hey, where's Nate going to be today? Is Nate going to be here? We could really use Nate at this job, taking pictures of this. This is going to be a unique, thing that we're doing." So he's totally opened up to it now, but there was definitely some speed bumps along the way to get us to the point of where we are today.
Any other stories, Anthony?
There's a lot. There's a lot. I think we just wore him down.
Yeah, okay.
I remember him always, what are you doing on your phone? I can't with the pictures all the time, Nick. Like he would, yeah. He would just be all the time. But would you say Nick, he's a ham. You get him in front of the camera and he's all of a sudden he turns on.
Yeah.
He's very much, he enjoys being on the camera sometimes. So he likes it.
I agree, and we need to do a better job at that, honestly. But
I know.
and then it wasn't just the picture taking aspect of it. Then, if anyone's ever posted anything online, like a video, editing takes like 80% of it. It's fun to take the pictures and all that, which
Yeah.
I enjoy. But then when it comes to editing and putting it to music and all that, that's another, for me, hour-long process. At times in the beginning. So then he would see me on my phone even more, and he really struggled with it at first, but it really has evolved and really serves its purpose in so many different ways. I mean, for one, we were asked to bid on a job with using a product that we've never used before. And in order to purchase the material from this manufacturer, you have to be a certified installer. So we were explaining to this manufacturer that this is, something that we install all the time, just with a different manufacturer, and it's very familiar to us. We have all the right tools and machinery needed to do the job, and we were able to say, just take a look at any one of our social media pages. You'll find out all the answers you need right there, and it was like the ticket into getting certified. Really, once he was able to see proof of us walking the walk, not just talking the talk. It fast tracked the process tremendously. So it served another. That was the first time it really worked like that for us, which opened up our eyes to something we didn't even envision thinking about when we first started taking pictures. But now, it serves as manufacturers can get to know, like, and trust you even faster and sell you their product, and it opens up new avenues like that as well.
Well, that's a really good point. That's one I wasn't even gonna bring up today, but I really appreciate you sharing that. Because that's for a lot of the folks in TCS. I mean, that could be the case as well. And I think it's something that I know we haven't talked about it. That hasn't come up at all in that whole month of March. And there've been a lot of great conversations in that inner circle. But what you guys have spoke to this before, and I think it was a couple weeks ago, maybe also, that both of you, Brian's a big consistency guy. I mean, it's just obviously he just went over 900 of his shows this past week, and he's always preaching that consistency, consistency, consistency. And I know you two chimed in a couple weeks ago about that as well. The role of consistency in just your logo, your messaging, and your customer experience. I mean, I love following you just to get like the pictures from some of the things that you're doing in New York, right? Because it's, we kind of live vicariously through that. I don't like going around in the city. I still have trauma from the first time I went there like 20 years ago and got lost. But anyhow, I mean, what role does that play in your branding, like with the logo, the messaging, and your customer experience meeting consistency?
Yeah, I would say that to be as consistent as possible, the easiest way to do that is with your messaging. The easiest way to do that, from what we could see, is just being yourself. Like, you don't want to have to put on I would feel very overwhelmed and very pressured to have to put on a character. If we were to like sit in front of like this microphone right now and have to be somebody different, like that's very difficult. And I would say that as far as your marketing is concerned, as long as you are the same person that on camera, in the pictures, in the text, and everything like that, that when you show up to a job, then it's going to be pretty easy for you to stay consistent with your messaging. Maybe you want to tweak some stuff. Maybe you want to, make sure that you're hitting on what your ideal kind of project is, and dial in that kind of consistency. But when you're talking about just as far as keeping that main thread, I would say to just be yourself. And I would think you agree, Nick.
Yeah, no, 100%. If I had to act, on camera as someone I wasn't, I definitely would not want to do it and probably wouldn't do it. So definitely just being true to who you are, sticking true to your true core values, what you believe in, helps you stay consistent and stay constantly, posting. It definitely takes strategy and thought behind, like, we try and lay out the week's posts on either the week before on a Friday or first thing Monday, and get a game plan going on when we're going to post them, what we're going to, obviously the captions and things like that. And we're trying to hit every or all, the main, what is it, 7 or so different social media pages every single day.
What are some of let's start off with kind of some branding missteps. Are there some goof ups that you've made along the way? And then, I want to come back to some of the successes that you've had, especially the one last week that you shared with the group.
Yeah. There's definitely time, like by having our videographer on the job sites with us, and we just give him, free range of just record whatever you see, unless we, guide him to certain things. But it eliminated bad practices that we knew shouldn't have been there in the first place. But like when it comes to installations, but it helped speed up that process. And I think you'd agree when we would see our guy Nate drafting up, the week's video for that day, let's just say, we would be like, oh, you know what? Take that part out, because that's not really what we should be showing. So my point saying that is, even though those bad practices worked and got us through the job, it wasn't true to who we are and what we were standing for. So we actually made changes internally with the company, and we would stop using certain products and stop using certain methods of doing things, because we didn't want to have to put on a show for when Nate was on site and, don't get this shot, get this, don't shoot that, do that. We want to just be like, come on the job site and start rolling. So that was it, and that definitely helped us.
So
Yeah.
it increased, right, the work that you were doing. I mean, your ability, the consistency of your work, or just the overall
The skill level. The skill
Yeah,
level went
so
up.
the skill level, everything, your best practices. That's
Yeah.
Yep, it increased our skill level and made us stop taking shortcuts and things like that, which ultimately gives us a better product.
yeah, and I'm sure that those things weren't, like, you weren't doing that maliciously. It's just it brought it to light, right?
100%.
Weren't even thinking about it, and then when we saw it, we were like, "Oh, makes
Wow.
sense." Yeah, yeah. And I wouldn't even say, like, as far as like missteps or anything like that. I don't know that we've made many what I would consider like real missteps. They were all like real. I mean, I guess it's how you frame it. They're all like learning experiences. Like maybe we didn't put the right copy in there, or maybe we didn't put the right caption or something like that. But like, I don't really know. Like we just always looked at it as like, oh, won't do that again. Like, but I don't really know that we've had really many that are to remember. We just kind of like gloss over them and then move on, because
I think
otherwise you just go into this downward spiral of I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good tip, and that's one of the reasons that I wanted to discuss it, because I know when I first started, man, I was just, I would go in kicking and screaming. And it's one of the things I was used to talking to people every day, but I just didn't want to do the camera thing. I didn't want to do the mic thing. And like I would spend literally an hour or 90 minutes just fussing over, I don't want to do this. This is dumb. What if I screw up? And I think people give a lot of grace, but I think the other thing that you need to know, and we'll get into it, is like people need to know you're out there. Like people just don't know you're there because they don't know, right? And they don't know what you do, and it's like, well, you might be right in my backyard, and I need this, I need this service, and all of a sudden, you start coming up, and it's like, well, I might as well call them because it looks like, for the most part, they got their crap together, right? And that happened. Go ahead and tell that story that you shared with the group, if you would, please.
Yeah. So we got a call, what was it, a couple of weeks ago now. And it was so just for everybody to catch back up here, we're a flooring contractor out of New York, and most of our work is in Manhattan. So this particular client called us up and said, I built a new building in the Bronx, and I'd like you guys to do the floors. Here's the layout. It was like 2,400 square feet, nothing crazy. And then went through what he wanted. The whole conversation took about like 5 minutes, and then he was like, I just want to talk to you about like how I found you guys and everything like that. And I had barely asked him that, and then he just went through for the next 15 minutes on seeing all of our stuff. I love this. I love that. I love seeing the floors. I love when you guys zoom in on the machines. I'm all about machines, like it was really cool because it gives you that validation. And then another story that we have from that was we were trying to get in with a client for a long time. And we were friends with one of the project managers there, and we just couldn't line up. And the project manager finally got us on a job, and we ended up doing the job. Nate was there. We did we did a video for it and didn't think anything of it. Everything came out fine, whatever. Me and Nikki get a call couple days later. They want to have a meeting at their office, and we went there. And the long and short of it was there was an hour and a half meeting, but the first 3 minutes was, we saw your video. You're our guys now. You guys did a great job. And then the rest of it was just BSing the whole rest of the time.
Yeah,
and we've done a lot of work for them since.
I think it was a unique experience for them because most of our work also takes place at night because we make a lot of noise, and so we can't disrupt the other businesses during the day. So a lot of the times the general contractor and the other trades come back the next morning to just our work magically done. So for this particular contractor, this video that we produced for ourselves, really, that it gave them a behind the scenes look as to what we did specifically on their job to achieve the outcome that was needed. And again, it built the know, like, and trust factor. It proved that we were doing the right steps and taking the right actions to do it. But also, instead of just coming back and just seeing the finished product, they were able to really get involved and understand more what went into how the finished product came to be. There was different layers that we had to do. We had to do it in like two different lifts, we call them, where you have to pour one section at a certain depth, let it dry, come back, and then pour another section, and then that was that finished floor. But if you were to just look at it, you would just think it was all done in one shot. So it gave them a little insight to, oh wow, they actually had to take this piece by piece and chunk by chunk. So that was a cool experience, and again, that was another thing that we didn't think social media would have helped us with, but it did. It actually helped us really land that account, and we've been doing work with them ever since, consistently.
That's great. Go back to, and that's the second time you've mentioned it, Nick. Know, like, and trust. What do you mean by that?
I think the more people feel like they know you, the more they might begin to like you, or the more that they, have a higher chance or likelihood of liking you, uh, which just builds the trust factor of, well, I feel like I know this guy. I mean, I think we all can follow people, have people that we follow on social media that we don't know, but we see them enough over time to where we feel like we know them, and we would, we enjoy watching their videos, and it builds trust to our what they're doing with their business, if we feel that they are speaking the truth. So I think something that occurred to me was when we were in Las Vegas. What was it, Ant, when we went with Nate? Not this past year, the year before. So
It was the year before.
2024, I guess it was,
Yeah.
for the World of Concrete, which is our big, event every year. I was there with Nate. We were waiting on the tram line to go back to our hotel, and I think it was two different people. Nate's camera wasn't rolling or anything. It was two different people that came up to me like, "Oh my God, it's Nick Abbruzzese. I love your guys' content. I follow you guys online. You guys are doing amazing things. I love watching it. New York looks so much fun." And that was the first time it ever happened. And me and Nate like looked at each other. I'm so glad Nate was there because it would just be me like I have Nate to validate the story.
Yeah.
And both of our eyes lit up and we looked at each other like, hi, how you doing? I'm sorry, what's your name? And he said what his name was, and he was from like South Dakota or something. And I was like, wow, that is really, really cool. And then I kid you not, about 5 minutes later, a very similar situation happened again while we were on the train. So
Yeah, can I tell you, it happened 3 times to Nikki and 0 to me. He had like 3 to 4 people come up to him. They were like, "Holy crap, it's Nick Abbruzzese!"
but
Rockstar.
it happened actually. The first one it literally happened to was we were at
Oh,
JFK
yeah.
Airport waiting
Yeah.
for the plane to board, and it was just me and you waiting for Nate to come in, and then with the only other person in our area came up to me and said that again. That was the first time it happened. But yeah, I think it just makes you be like people feel like they know you without actually knowing you.
Expand on that too, because I think it's really important in certain industries, but especially for construction. Like when you're looking for somebody, the importance of being on there now and marketing yourself over and over, going back to that consistency. I'd like for you guys to speak about why you think. I mean, I can tell people why I think it's important, but why do you think that's important for anybody like in construction or doing what you all are doing, as far as the customer goes?
You mean just being on social media, or
Just being on and having the consistency. What does that mean for a customer base?
I would say it builds off of what Nick was just saying. Like you're building that. Like the way I always look at it, and the way that I actually like kind of filter like who I would use on a job or who I would use to, I don't know, be a financial advisor or something like that, is like, hey, what is their, you go to their like Google ratings, right? And you see like, oh, this guy's got 700 ratings. Like, okay, like if 700 people lined up in front of me and they were like, oh, this guy's great, you use him. So how could you replicate that on social media? Get out there and show everything without hiding it. Like you're going to go on there every single day. Like Nick says, we're posting on every major platform all the time. You can't get away from us. We try to, to make sure so that we're constantly flooding you. And you're just constantly showing all of your stuff, all of your guys, all the best practices, all the worst practices. And, like literally we've shown stuff where it's like, remember that one that you posted, Nick, where it was like the self-level like leak down the wall?
Yeah.
And we went back and fixed it. And like that was completely unintentional, but like we show that, and it's showing like, hey, we're not going to run away. Like we're not just showing like the highlight reel. And that's being consistent in every way, showing you the good, the bad, the ugly, the hard times, the good times. It's going to show that you're like actual real people and you're not like this like robot, and people will want to use you just based on like, the like we're always saying, the like, know, and trust factor.
Yeah, I mean, I go back to the legitimacy thing, right? If you're going to put yourself out there time and time and time and time again, you have to be at least fairly good at your trade, at what you're doing. And I think that's what people need even more. And I would encourage that because I know a lot of contractors really struggle with that. Well, like I don't want to do that. I mean, you guys, neither one of you are wildly extroverted, right? So it's not about it's not about that. It's just about creating a product that everybody can see, that they become familiar with, and it makes it that I think it makes it that much easier when you have that legitimacy. It makes it that much easier to reach out, wouldn't you think? I mean, obviously with what you all have experienced, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then being able to, pick up the phone to a potential client and just being yourself the same way you are on camera, it just proves that legitimacy of like, oh wow, he actually does sound like and talk like and act like he does on camera. And it just fosters that bond even more.
Yeah. So one last thing before we let you guys go, maybe it has a couple parts too, but talk about the internal marketing piece, right? We spent all this time on external, right? Customers, things like that. What has it meant internally for you guys as far as even engagement with the employees that you have?
Yeah, for us, our guys, they thoroughly enjoy it. They, similar to Dad, they not that they had pushback, but at first they were given uh, us taking pictures or Nate being on site like some weird looks just because it was a new thing. Like this guy's taking, they would be mixing cement and Nate has the camera right in there. They were like, step back. Um, but I mean, what it's done for them is that they are able to take these beautifully professional photos and videos and show their family like this
Yeah.
is what I do at work every single day. It's not just I go to work and do nothing. Like this is what I'm producing. This is what I'm seeing. When we post these pictures on with the Empire State Building in the background or on top, in the Empire State Building, they're able to show and share those pictures with their family. And it's cool. It brings more legitimacy to what they're doing on a daily basis.
Something that always comes to my mind too is like I heard it from Brian, and so when we came around all of this, we had just got Nate on. I think it was probably like a couple of weeks before or something like that, and he was just like, I remember hearing Brian. He was just like, "Well, what do you think?" Like, because we were had this conversation with our dad about like having hit Nate there, and Dad was having like a little bit of a hard time with it, and he said, "Well, why don't you just tell your dad like, what do you think is going to happen more if the camera is in their face? Do you think that they're going to perform better, or you think that they're going to go out and have more breaks and everything like that?" And we 100%, our guys always performed really, really well. But I think that having the camera there, it just automatically, like me too. Like when Nate is there, I feel like you have to make sure everything is on point, because you have
Yeah.
the camera there, and it's not like Nikki filming me, it's somebody else,
Right.
so it raises everybody's level.
For sure.
Yeah, I think there's a sense of pride there when you talk about that. So it's not only just folks, it's not just the external marketing piece and the branding. It goes a long way internally inside your company. And then one of the things that we talked about was the people that it could potentially bring inside your company, like attracting good talent and hiring great talent is a lot easier, and especially in today's market. I mean, I've watched some of the other contractors, but I've really watched here at the Pavement Group. I've watched people, and I've had people call me, "Hey, can you get me an appointment with Brian?" Right? And just because of the social media. Hey, I want to work there. It looks fun. Is it all it's cracked up to be? Those kinds of things. So that all that becomes a lot easier when you start doing that. And we had a member last week. Same thing happened to them. Like he lost a key person. It he shows up in an event the next week, gets connected, boom, boom, boom. All of a sudden, he's got a person in that position was better than the one that left, and it was all because of the social media and the marketing and the branding that he's had out there.
Yep. There's a lot of good that can come from it, and that being one of them. I mean, being able to unfortunately maybe losing a key player, but being able to recover from that really quickly because you're consistent with your social media posting. People already know what you're all about, what your culture is, what you guys do for work. It just speeds up the process. You don't have to explain to someone, for us, oh, we polish concrete floors. People already know that off the bat, and they're like, how do I sign up?
Yep. Good stuff. Any last words for our TCS folks listening and watching to this?
I would say, if you're not posting on social media regularly, you should start. It's, definitely takes discipline and takes time. It's the more you do it, the faster it will happen for you. Like as far as posting, I know in the beginning, a post used to take me an hour or 2 hours to edit. The more, couple hundred times that I've done it, I've now been able to cut some things out to fast track it, and just staying consistent with it. I mean, showing, like Anthony said before, the good, the bad, the ugly. We try we try and not have just a perfect highlight reel. We don't put too much of the negative in there, but we just show that we're human and that these things happen because, like that one post where we had some self-leveling running down the wall was one of our most
Engaged with.
engaged posts because people were DMing me saying, "This happened to me before. This happens to me." Like it made us like relatable and human to a lot more people. Um, so just not always being the perfect human highlight reel because I feel that when I see someone or a page being that, I just quickly kind of bypass it. It's
Right.
just like, I know they're taking the best angles of the floor and the best angles of everything. Just be real and show. I like what Gary V says is document, don't create. Just document the process, document the
Point.
job site and what you're going through versus overly trying to create, some blockbuster film. Just put it out there.
Good point.
Yeah, I would piggyback on that and say just do not pay attention to people that are like keyboard warriors. Like as soon as you can get rid of that, and it's for the better. Like we had a couple of our videos go viral, I guess you want to say. They got a lot of views, and a lot of them are just like the comments are, I wouldn't do it that way. That's wrong. Okay, so go and show us. And then you go
Yeah.
on their page, and there's literally zero posts. There's zero.
Right.
There's zero everything. It's just zero all over. And as soon as you can get past that high school stuff, you're gonna put yourself out there, and you're gonna realize that you're able to do what all of your heroes are doing.
Yeah.
Maybe not at their level yet because you're not as proficient. You're not like as comfortable in front of the camera, or you're not as comfortable on the keyboard, or whatever it is. But just as soon as you can get those people out of your mind and just start refining your craft, the better that you'll feel about it.
Well, that was a very good tips. I'm glad I asked you. Start with that. So, how do people find you guys if they're looking for you, if they're looking for your content?
Yep. So we're at Abbruzzese Floors on all social media pages, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. Same handle across all those platforms.
Yeah, good picks too, guys. I mean, great job. Keep up the great work. Appreciate you guys coming back with such short notice on this, but I thought it was a topic that we needed to continue to hit on for for our community because we've really had a lot of good conversation on it lately. And thanks for encouraging some of the newer members. We really appreciate you guys doing this and jumping on again.
Absolutely, man.
No, you're very
Any way
welcome.
we
Thank
can
you for
give
having
back.
us.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all, guys. Until next time, keep leading, keep growing, and keep winning. We'll see you next time on the TCS podcast. See you later.